we met at Square. You eventually became my boss. I initially reported to someone else, and then later I reported to you. And I always tell every student that, the ones who ask, the Square FNS team or financial strategy team was, I think, the best team that I've been a part of, both in terms of, again, we talked earlier about the caliber of the people, but also I think like the camaraderie on the team that we had, I thought was pretty special. And so, like, what do you think was the secret to building that type of culture, or that team's success, I guess? Like, how do you build a team culture where people work incredibly hard, but also, to your point earlier, like, actually enjoy coming to work? Or at least for me back then, I was like, I thought we worked so hard, but I enjoyed coming to work because I felt like I was, when I went to work, I was like hanging out with my friends and stuff,
Yeah. I, I, I think it's easier when teams are smaller. In whether it was at Square specific, or even, I went when I left Square to join DoorDash, and we were a team of 3 people kind of growing now. Now I believe it's a team of like 70, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I think when your team is small, I think there's some ingredients that are needed to create that culture of connection and camaraderie. Is one, like a real share, like a really shared vision and effort. Like, when somebody says somebody's in the trenches with them. And I kind of reflect back in my banking days, is like, yeah, like 1 in the morning, we're still in our cubicles, and there's like that shared experience of with your teammates.
like going through hard shit together.
Yeah, and I think it was like the hardship together, and you spent time together, trying to achieve something, shared goal. And I think sometimes, a lot of when I read these message boards or comments in social media, when people are talking about their professional progression, or like even recent layoffs. Look, layoffs are brutal, man. And all I see a very common theme of people saying, "Oh, you should not care about the company, or because they could lay you off in an instant and you're gone. They don't care about you."
Yeah, like there's
And
no
I think
loyalty.
there's yeah, and no loyalty, right? And I think there's truth to that. And I think you may remember me saying this in the past, and I'm like, I'm never loyal to the company, but I'm loyal to the people, especially people that I hired, that I work with. And I think once you have that level, I think this is something that I try to live every day. I wanted to make sure that I was authentic with the people I worked with, and I think people invested in building that culture. And I think when people feel like, hey, the company may be distant, cold to me, but I know my teammates care about me, I know my manager cares about me. I think having people feeling that also allows them to invest in the culture where they're also putting in commitment of time to say, I'm going to be there working. And then, hey, it's you go and support each other, outside of work, right? And I think that's something that it's maybe not as common these days. I think it's gotten to a very kind of very cold place where, like, hey, I'm gonna go do my work, put my head down. I'm not trying to make friends, and I'm like, oh, that's and I think all this remote work also didn't help, right? When you don't see each other in person daily, it's hard to develop that rapport and connection. I think when you have opportunities to finish a hard week's work and you're getting drinks, or, getting together to play basketball together, or, right now March Madness is going on, being able to shoot the shit around your bracket.
Yeah.
So these are little things that I think maybe people to underestimate, that it's actually, I think, critical for a high performing team.
Yeah.